This is a Lazy Teacher podcast.
Welcome back to the Lazy Teacher Podcast. My name is Brian Pulowski. This is episode 42, Morning Meetings. Morning meetings are kind of a rad thing that I started this year. I heard about it from a couple other teachers and the instructional coach at my school, Heather Campbell. She told me a lot about this. Morning meetings kind of come from different points of view and how you want to attack it. A pretty cool website, if you're interested in this, is responsiveclassroom.org. Responsive Classroom explains morning meeting as an engaging way to start each day. You build a strong sense of community and you set children up for success socially and academically. So basically, like each morning, students and teachers gather together in a circle for about 20 to 30 minutes, and you interact with one another during 4 purposeful components. So it starts off with a greeting. So the greeting is students and teachers greet one another by name, and there's so many different ways you can do that. The second component is sharing, where students share information about important events in their life, while the other remaining students, the listeners, can offer different comments to go with it or ask clarifying questions. The third component is some sort of group activity. So everyone participates in a brief, lively activity that fosters like group cohesion. It's kind of like a team building activity. It helps students practice social, academic skills. Like, for example, they can recite a poem, some sort of dance, singing, or playing a game. And the very last component is some sort of morning message where students read and interact with a short message written by you as the teacher, or maybe some article that you find online. The message is crafted to help students focus on the work they'll be doing that day in school. Right? So there's your four components. There's a greeting, a sharing, a group activity, and some sort of morning message. My morning meetings, they do last about 20 to 30 minutes. Honestly, it depends on the full engagement of my students. The greeting, the first component, that's kind of a fun thing to do, right? So that's where the students and teachers are greeting each other by name. I really like this greeting portion because I really have strong feelings about shaking hands. I feel that, I don't know if it's an art, but perhaps it's getting lost a little bit as far as a firm handshake. You know, it's kind of like you get that sloppy handshake when you shake someone's hand, and you're kind of missing the intention of what it's supposed to be like. Interesting fact that you can go back. Where does the handshake come from? The handshake comes from back in battling times. You fought with your right hand. So to show the person you're walking up to, look, I'm not wielding a weapon. I mean you no harm. You present your hand open with no weapon, right? So then they shake your hand saying, I also don't have a weapon. So there's a little interesting trivia to go back to. But you want it to be a firm handshake and you want to look that person in the eye. So I really stress that during our greetings. And there's so many different ways you can do it. Real simple way to start it off is you literally just go around in a clockwise fashion where the students turn to the person at their left and they say, good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Betty. And they shake hands. They look at each other in the eye. And then Johnny turns to his neighbor and says, good morning, Juan. And then Juan says, good morning, Johnny. And then Juan's turn. All right, you guys get the point. So it goes around in a circle. You should always include yourself, the teacher, in this circle as the greeting. It's very important. Oftentimes, I'll mix the components of greeting and group activity together, but I'll get to that in a moment. As far as sharing goes, the sharing is when students share some sort of important information about their lives. For example, super easy one is, Mondays. It seems so obvious to say, who would like to share out something that they did over the weekend? Kids love talking. To guide a very organized morning meeting, you want something that's going to resemble it's my turn to talk. For example, I have a little foam yellow squishy emoji ball with a smiley face on it, and students know it's only their turn to talk when they have the emoji ball. So I start with the ball. And in the beginning, to introduce your morning meetings, it's something to the effect of, okay, boys and girls, yeah, it's Monday. So we obviously all had probably a very exciting weekend. I want to start off with my weekend. Over the weekend, I was at a lot of soccer tournaments and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, my son lost all the games, but he kept his head up and he did really good. So I was really proud of him. I had a great weekend. Who else would like to share with the class? Bam, hands go up. So then I pick somebody and I give them the squishy ball, and then they get to talk. They got the morning meetings, right? If a student raises their hand, they can ask a question about the weekend, or they can offer a comment. In the beginning, you do get a lot of hands that go up. As they get used to it, eventually it just kind of comes around to the students just really just want their turn to talk, so they just wait patiently. Or when they're all done, the whole class says, "Thank you, Annabelle." Then they raise their hand, and that means that they would like to talk too. So then I pick somebody, and then I'll say, ooh, let's go to Pharrell. Pharrell, you can talk next. So then Annabelle will roll the ball over to Pharrell, and Pharrell gets to talk. And sometimes you do get questions. Sometimes the student will say, yeah, wow, did you have fun at Disneyland or whatever like that? So you get the point. So that's the sharing. Sharing really opens up discussion. I do not make all my students talk. Sometimes I'll pass the ball around in a circle and say, everybody is going to have a chance to tell us what they did for the weekend. If you do not want to share out, you could just say skip. In the beginning, yeah, there is going to be a few students that are going to skip, but in the end, they kind of figure out that they're, that it's a safe environment. Their affective filter drops down a little bit and they feel like it's safe to share out with their students. You'd be surprised the types of conversations that you hear. Like I've heard some really sad stuff. For some reason, students feel like this is a good time to open up. I've had students talk about, their dog or their pet died over the weekend and they feel really sad about that. And you could see shoulders physically dropping with the students because they're empathizing with that student. They're relating, and it's just a really big team building thing. It just kind of bonds us all together, and it's a safe place, and they like sharing. So that's the component, sharing. The next one is a group activity. Group activity is a lot of fun. You can come up with so many things. Like I said, sometimes I'll tie the greeting and the group activity together. For example, I'll do my greeting/group activity at the same time. So I'll make it like, I call it secret handshake. So then one student, Gabriel's going to make up a secret handshake. Let's say it's like, a slap, fist bump, just to be a super simple one. So there's the group activity that everybody's going to get to participate in. Everybody might stand up in a circle. And Gabriel turns to his neighbor, says, good morning, Thomas. Thomas says, good morning, Gabriel. And they slap, fist bump. Everybody, they go around in a circle and they complete their greeting portion of the morning meeting by doing their group activity at the same time. They really like that. So typically for the group activity, I like to have the students stand and kind of move around a little bit, and then we'll just sit back down in our circle. Another example of maybe a group activity that I've done, I do a whole lot of them. Honestly, go online, Google morning meeting ideas, and you're going to get so many. A group activity that my students really, really like to do is Secret Starter. So Secret Starter is one student goes outside of the classroom just to step outside, and then the teacher, picks a student. So what the students are going to do is you'll tell a student, okay, Billy, you're going to do a rhythm and we're going to copy you. So everyone sits in a circle, and then you tell the students, okay, glance over at the secret starter, but try not to stare at them. Because what's going to happen is the person that's outside the classroom, they're going to come in and they're going to try and figure out who the secret starter is, right? So you go, okay, Billy, go ahead. You can start now. So the student walks into the classroom and Billy's doing some slaps on his thighs or something like that. And everybody's glancing over and doing the slapping on the thighs as well. And then maybe Billy switches to some hand claps. So the idea being here is Billy is our secret starter, and he's going to start a new rhythm every time. And the whole class is watching Billy, but trying to do it out of the corner of their eye because they don't want to give it away to the person that was outside. So that person that was outside the classroom, they get to come in. They're the only one standing, and they're watching the entire group, and they're trying to figure out who's the secret starter, who keeps switching out the rhythm. And it's a lot of fun. I tell them they have 5 guesses, and essentially if they can guess the correct person, they can win a point, or they win a piece of candy, or they get to pick who the next person to go outside is. They all want to go outside. They all want to be a secret starter. So it's a lot of fun. So that's a really interesting game. tons of great ideas you can do for group activity. The last one is morning message. So morning message is where students are all sitting down, kind of quieting and mellowing out a little bit from the group activity. And this is where students are going to either read or they're going to interact with a short message that's written by you as the teacher. What I'll do is like, we'll all sit down, we'll kind of just like calm down a little bit from our group activity. And then I'll give them something that I want to focus on. Maybe the focus for the day is compassion. Maybe I'm seeing the class isn't being very compassionate, or the switch side is I'm seeing a lot of compassion in my classroom and I want to bring that up to my class. So I'm going to say to them, okay, class, today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about compassion. Does anyone know what compassion is? Absolutely. Good answer. Yes. Compassion is when you're caring about someone else and you're showing some strong feelings, positive feelings for someone else. Has anyone in the classroom seen some compassion happening? Oh, great answer, Stephanie. Yeah. I do remember when George helped out Philip when he fell on the floor and he went to go check on him to see if he was okay, right? So maybe you're talking about something that you're seeing in the class and you want to bring it to their attention. Let them see that you value what's happening and you're bringing it to their attention and you're acknowledging it. I think it's equally as important to mention the good things that you're seeing as well as perhaps if there's something that they need to work on, right? So just last week, we had for our morning meeting, the message was about tattling. Tattling is really frustrating. I know my kids are only in second grade, but it is an issue that we can address even at that young age. And I explained to them, what is the benefit of tattling? What are we trying to accomplish here? Like, I want you guys to really think inside your head. When you tell Mr. P that something is happening, is your goal to get the person in trouble? Is your goal to make them mad at you? What are you trying to accomplish by telling me something? If you're trying to tell me something that has nothing to do with you and you kind of get the feeling that they're probably going to get in trouble for what you're saying, then that's tattling and I don't want you to tell me. So anyway, so we have a whole discussion about that. I always have the kids raise their hand and give me examples of better ways to resolve it. So if it's an issue that I'm seeing that I want them to work on, then I'll just basically say to them, I want you to, raise your hand, give me an example. What can you do instead of telling Mr. P that this is happening? You guys know how to do this. You know how to address concerns in your classroom. The morning message is that time. That's the perfect time to address any issues. Or maybe you have something that's happening at the school that you want to address. We just changed our dismissal program at our school. 7 years, we had the exact same dismissal way that we did every single day at the end of school. Well, we have a new principal. She's seen that the parking lot is a little bit dangerous for our students. She came up with a great idea for a new dismissal. And that was the perfect time for me to address this, was at our morning meeting. At the very end for the morning message, I talked to them about dismissal. What do we need to do to be safe? What do you think my expectations are? What would I like to see for a dismissal? If they're older kids, you're just going to remind them of the logistics. Hey guys, remember we used to go to the fence? Okay, now we don't go to the fence. What we need to do first is we're going to have to go to the building. And then once we get to that building, let's make sure the whole class is together. Just give me a little fist pump as you're leaving. Okay, that's the older kids. The younger kids, okay guys, the procedure is we're going to walk out. This is the area. You know where that fence is that we walk by on the way to recess? Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. That's where we're going to line up. We're going to line up at that fence. You know how there's a gate right there? We're going to make our lines facing that gate so we can see when the parents are showing up. Like I said, you guys know how to do all this. The morning message is the perfect time. Positive, negative, informational, all this stuff can easily be addressed at the morning message, and it's pretty awesome. That's the morning meetings, and like I said, there's 4 components: greeting, sharing, some sort of group activity, and a morning message. It literally only takes 20 to 30 minutes. The students miss it if I don't do it, so I try not to miss it. If something comes up, like some sort of fire drill or something that interrupts our morning meeting time, sometimes I'll just skip the morning meeting and go on with the day. And absolutely, students always remind me, hey, Mr. P, we didn't do our morning meeting yet. It means something to them. And think about that. If a student finds value in something that you as the teacher hold to have great value for your class, I mean, that's some serious engagement right there. They're looking and they're wanting something that you're using to help your classroom out. And there's so much that can be accomplished at a morning meeting. Aside from just the team building and the messages that you can get out, it's a lot of fun. So that's it, guys. I want you to go out and try out these morning meetings, and I want you to tell me how they're working for you. Maybe you come across something in your morning meetings that you find of great value that maybe I should be doing too. I'm really new to this. I just started doing it this year, and I plan on sticking with it all year. It's phenomenal. I really find some awesome value in this, and I know my students love it too. So I'm just going to get better and better at it. I'll keep you guys updated if I come up with some better stuff, but it's pretty simple with 4 simple components that you follow. It only takes 20, 30 minutes, and it's pretty awesome for the kids. They're going to love it. I mean, definitely get it started. Get it started anytime you want. I mean, you don't need to wait until the beginning of a trimester or semester. You just pop it on your kids and they're going to love it. The only thing it really needs is a little bit of space in the classroom, but the students are pretty quick to move their desks out of the way for something that they like doing. And they definitely like doing this. Are you guys enjoying listening to podcasts about education? If you are, go check out Classroom Brew. That's another teacher podcast. Ryan, the host of that show, is a good friend of mine, and he puts out some solid content. It's similar to the Lazy Teacher podcast in that it's addressing topics of education, but Ryan has a lot of guests on. It's very similar to that show, Comedians in Cars, but they're not really drinking coffee. They're drinking some beers. Unrelated to education is my guilty pleasure for podcasting. It's kind of like if they had a podcast on the Bravo network, Mouse and Weens would be on the Bravo network. Mouse and Weens is a podcast with 2 sisters that just banter so cleverly together. They're great. Like honestly, every episode I listen to, I just can't help but die laughing. It's pretty funny. The show is great, and they go over like the most random stuff. I guess it's just my guilty pleasure because it's like an audio version of a reality show, and I love it. So go check them out too. Mouse and Weens. That's it for this week, guys. Go start up your morning meetings and let me know how they're going. Keep checking in with the show via social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just search the Lazy Teacher podcast and you'll find the show. It's pretty easy. If you're not already following the show, follow the show. We're putting out solid content as much as I possibly can. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's behind the scenes stuff, sometimes it's just personal stuff. Most of the time it's just updates of current episodes coming out, and you're not going to miss anything that you're going to see. So I love it. Love the support, guys. Keep it up. Episodes come out every Friday, as you know. Looking forward to getting the comments and emails from you guys as usual. I hope you guys have a great weekend. This is the tail end. I hope you got what you came for. See ya!